All right, guys, welcome back to the Endless Endeavor podcast. Just sitting here watching the new Gordon Ryan instructional from BJJ Fanatics, and it's pretty fascinating. And so the reason that I bought this is because the way in which he sold it. And I'm an armbar guy. Arm bars are what I always look for. I'm fascinated by them. And my jiu-jitsu has just naturally kind of shifted to where I find myself in positions where arm bars are available. That has been my go-to probably for the last 5 years. And what's crazy is I've been a black belt for 9 years. And so I didn't even fall in love with the arm bar until I'd been a black belt for a long time. But once I really started to learn the essence of the arm bar, it changed my entire jiu-jitsu. I believe, and again, this is just my opinion, but I believe the essence of jiu-jitsu is dominating someone positionally, getting on top of them, preferably, and then submitting them. My whole game is built around sweeping someone if I'm underneath them, taking them down and getting on top of them if we're on our feet. But regardless, I want to get on top of someone. I want to then pass any type of guard that I may be entangled in, get a position of dominance. Side control is usually where I like to work from, and then I hunt the arm from there. You know, a lot of people believe that mount or back are the most dominant positions in jiu-jitsu. And I'm not here to say that's right or wrong. I'm here to say I find the most control from side control. Now, side control in grappling is an exceptionally strong control position. However, if you are into full contact fighting or MMA, you can't quite inflict as much damage from the side control position as you can from the mount. So just different things to think about. But anyways, Gordon Ryan, he competed, I think it's been about a month now, and I forget the gentleman he was competing against, but it was obviously, if you're fighting Gordon Ryan in a main event, you are a high-level black belt. And he made this guy, and I'm not saying this to try and paint this guy in a bad light. It's just the reality of where Gordon Ryan is right now. He absolutely mauled this guy for like 15 minutes. And he had no answers to anything Gordon was doing. And then at the end, he got a position of control. He got the arm, and then he armbarred him. At the end, the commentator opens the box, and he says, "Hey, read that. Read what the note says." And it was a female commentator, and she says, "My instructional on how to systematically attack the arm will go live tomorrow. As you just saw right now, I utilize these techniques myself, and they work flawlessly," or something along those lines. Now, if you guys haven't competed in grappling, I don't think you can really conceptualize just how outrageous that is. I've competed a lot, and I'm always very honest with you guys. I've had some pretty good success at times on, like the local IBJJF tournaments, like the Seattle Open or the Long Beach Open when I lived down in California. And I did well sometimes. And then there was plenty of times that I did terrible. And that's just part of jiu-jitsu. You win some, you lose some, with the exception of a few elite athletes that just happen to win all. But to be able to not only predict your win, but predict your submission and how you're going to submit them against high-level people is pretty shocking. A lot of fights at the highest level are won by an advantage. And for non-jiu-jitsu people, an advantage is less than a point. Like a pointed position, you get a certain amount of points for mount, or you get a certain amount of points for back control. An advantage is just you almost got something good, but not quite there. And what they want to do is award people that are trying to work and are trying to gain advantageous positions, that are trying to pass, that are trying to sweep. And even if you don't quite get it, but you're working hard and you almost got it, they'll call that an advantage. At the highest level, when I used to live in California and go to the World Championships in the Pyramid, I would watch lots of guys, including like Buchecha and like these high-level guys, win some of their fights by an advantage. So that's what you're up against the highest level. Sometimes you just fucking eke a victory out. But Gordon not only predicts what he's going to do, but he predicts how he's going to do it, what submission he's going to use, and then he hits it. And so as an armbar guy, when I watched that and I saw that the commentator read it, I was like, you know what? I have to support this because it's absolutely outrageous. So I bought the DVD and it's fucking phenomenal. As someone that's, been doing jiu-jitsu for 20 years, I've learned the lesson long ago that my jiu-jitsu, I always compare it. My jiu-jitsu is a 5-gallon bucket of water and jiu-jitsu is the entire ocean. That's how vast it is. And I'm very good at what I'm good at, but I also understand there's literally an infinite amount of knowledge that you can seek and that you can gain. And the endless endeavor applies to jiu-jitsu more than anything I've ever experienced in my life. So I bought that armbar instructional and really been geeking out on it. And there's so much good stuff in there. And that's why I wanted to bring that up at the beginning. I know a lot of jiu-jitsu guys and gals listen to the show. And yeah, BJJ Fanatics, their instructionals are kind of expensive. But at the end of the day, what's your jiu-jitsu worth? So I'm happy to fork out some money to the guys that are killing it right now. I recently bought Mikey Musameki's new instructional as well. And I highly recommend both of those. Never stop learning, guys. It's fucking super important, especially for brown and black belts. Like, we can't rest on what we did. We have to continue to improve with the rest of the team. And not only for your own personal jiu-jitsu, but to show the younger guys and gals, like, we're not out. The fight never ends. The journey never ends. And to stay relevant with your team and your training partners, you got to be putting in the work just like everybody else. Don't care if you're a black belt. And a lot of black belts, I shouldn't say a lot. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of black belts that have become lazy, but I've seen enough that I think it's an important thing to bring up and to talk about. Just because you got your black belt doesn't mean anything changes. But what you find is a lot of people are, once they're a black belt, they're kind of reluctant to go against their white belts, their blue belts, especially their savage purple belts. Because guess what? When you have a 24-year-old savage blue belt who's been training for 2 years, but he's on the mats 3 hours a day, and he's a phenomenal athlete, and everything he does, he fucking absorbs like a sponge, that guy can give you problems. I have one of those guys in my gym. I have several of those guys, blue belts that are tough rolls. Don't hide from those guys because they might beat you, because what that ensures is they're closing the gap even faster. And just because you're not rolling with them, that doesn't, jiu-jitsu is not pretend world. It is rooted and grounded in reality. If you're not putting in the work, all the guys and gals that are coming up behind you, they're closing that gap rapidly. So I always talk shit to my younger guys in a good way and say, hey, just so you fucking know, you'll never catch me before I'm 50. Or I'll just, whatever. You're not going to catch me. There's no way you're going to catch me before your 25th birthday. And they probably will, but I just like to fucking kind of stoke the flame and make it fun and make it competitive. But I want to be in the mix with my guys. That's the fun of having a gym and being a coach and building this beautiful facility, is to create a group of people that want to get down together. And that's kind of what we got a lot to talk about today. You can already tell it's a solo episode, but that's kind of where I wanted to start with, because, I've talked about it on a couple past shows about my next endeavor being Forge Ferocity. Forge Ferocity is going to be an online accountability network where men and women that want to be on the grind, that want to be aspiring to be better versions of themselves each and every day, I'm going to build a community where we can link up and we can have that accountability partner, because I think it's imperative. I think it's imperative to have people to your left and your right. And that, obviously, guys, a physical location where you can find those people and you can share energy with those people and you can fucking hug those people. That's going to be better. There is no doubt. I'm not foolish. But the truth of the modern day world, we're so isolated, we're so segregated, everybody's fucking working more than ever because of inflation and fucking interest rates going up. Like, people's time is becoming less and less available. And then the other side of it is just geographically. If you're a fucking farmer in Nebraska, you may not have a facility that is a jiu-jitsu facility or a CrossFit box or whatever, a yoga studio, whatever your passion is. It just may be logistically nearly impossible to be able to go to someplace regularly and share that accountability with people. And for those of you that do live an exceptional distance away from any type of facility that you would be interested in training in, I would recommend, I don't know if you guys remember the episode with Jeff Smith, the founder of Colorado Craft Beef, but I forget what the distance was, but it's like 100 miles to his gym. And so he goes one day a week. And that day is like, hey, I'm going to be commuting for a long time and I'm going to get my jiu-jitsu in. And he prioritizes a little bit of jiu-jitsu so he can just stay on the path. Now, you're not going to become a world champion one day a week, but trust me when I tell you, some jiu-jitsu is better than no jiu-jitsu. So the reason that I want to build this online community is for those people. I don't want this online community to be people that have access, that live next door to a nice facility or a nice team and just don't feel like putting themselves out there. Like, again, if you have a brick and mortar facility close to you, go train there. Make that your home. But if you're finding yourself in a place where you're not able to have people to your left and your right that you connect to, that you value their opinion, that you value as people, well, let's fucking build it online. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm here to tell you right now, for those of you that are listening that are 40 pounds overweight and have fallen into the trap of the 9 to 5, you got your dad bod going on, you just don't feel like you have the tools or the capacity to take control of your life and steer your life towards health and fitness and betterment, don't feel bad about yourself for that. I promise you right now that the reason that I've arrived at a place where I can maintain a fairly high level of health and fitness and low body fat and good capabilities on the mats is because I grew up with forced accountability. I grew up in the Ranger Regiment. And, accountability in the Ranger Regiment is something that there's different levels of accountability. On one hand, you're always on the chopping block. If you fall below a certain amount of push-ups or pull-ups or run time, you're literally going to get kicked out of the unit. And I always tell people, if you have a bad day, the Ranger Regiment's not going to kick you out of the unit. If you have a bad day and you fall below the standards, what they're going to do is say, all right, 2 weeks is your retest date, and we'll see where you're at there. You take your retest, and if you fail that one, you're gone. And this was 20 years ago. I'm fucking old school Ranger. So there's a kinder, gentler military, which we're going to get into here in a little bit. So I don't know if that's how today's Ranger Regiment is operating, but I still want to believe that even though the military is going woke with a bunch of bullshit, I'm hoping our special operations units are still towing the line, still holding people personally accountable for their actions, for their fitness levels, for how they behave and how they conduct themselves as soldiers. It's important. It's important for our units to have high standards to maintain combat readiness. You need to have men and women that are willing to say, hey, this is where you guys set the bar, and I'm not only going to meet that, but I'm going to fucking exceed it. Those are the people you want in your special operations units. That was my life. From 18 to 29, that was my life. And, I combined, when I talk about my military service, I combined my contracting years with that as well. And that's because for those of you that don't know how the contracting world works, I'm here to fucking tell you, man, the standards I would say are higher than in the military. They're harder. And you are expected to be a fucking savage in the contractor world. When I got hired in 2004 with Triple Canopy, it was a company founded by retired Delta Force guys. And they said, you know what? We could do this mission in Iraq at a higher level than anyone. We'll hire guys out of special operations and we'll conduct the mission with civilians who are all former soft guys. Well, when you're going to be doing that and massive amounts of money are getting thrown at you, you're damn right they're going to hold you to a high standard. I've seen my friends that went through GRS, which is the OGA contracts you hear about all the time because Evan Hafer did those, Glover did those. A lot of my friends did those. Man, those fucking standards were high. And when you get on those teams with standards that are so strict and so high, selection never stops. Every fucking day when I was deployed with those guys, it was like, hey, what are we going to do for PT today? And a lot of gnarly workouts and a lot of gnarly fucking rounds of MMA and rounds of jiu-jitsu. Like, we got after it. And so literally for 11 years of my life, the accountability that was just built into my lifestyle, it wasn't something I sought per se. It was something I just kind of found myself in because I said when I was 18, I think I want to be an Army Ranger. And to this day, I don't even really know why I came to that conclusion. You know, like when you hear Andy Stumpf talk about wanting to be a Navy SEAL, he said he knew from the time I think he was 9 that was his dream. I don't think I'd even found my dick yet at 9. And so I had no idea what I wanted to be until I was, late into high school. Like, I think it was my end of my junior year when I joined the delayed entry program. Because I was like, I don't fucking know what I want to do. But these dudes look badass and they do badass shit. So let's see if I'm a badass. And that was kind of my, on a whim, let's just go do some hard shit. I remember thinking to myself, if I'm going to give the Army 4 years of my life, let's make it the hardest 4 years that they can give it. And, man, what a strange thought process for a kid to have. But I'm really glad that I did that. It really allowed me to grow into who I'm supposed to be. And so, you guys have heard me say for fucking years now that the modern era of the United States military is something that I don't necessarily recommend for young people because I think it's become, just like everything in government, it's become compromised and it's become woke, and it's the leaders that you are working for are not the same type of leaders that I feel like I worked for. But at the end of the day, if you want to go do those things and be part of those teams and serve in those units, regardless of current political climate or who's in what administration or any of that shit, you'll take a lot of good out of it. Just know, full transparency, that you may find yourself in some fucking foreign conflict, shooting dudes, that when you really take a step back and ask what we're doing, it's doesn't seem like it really makes sense, but it's still a good fucking time. So I know it's conflicting emotions, right? On one hand, I look back on all that stuff and think, what was I doing? It seems pretty fucking crazy that I was on the other side of the world going through people's fucking hometowns looking for bad guys. But the other hand, man, I grew into who I am doing those missions, living that life, doing those deployments. And so I can never look back on that and regret it, because I might be soft as baby shit if I just fucking took some tech job right out of high school and never developed the warrior spirit. So to go back to Forged Ferocity, which I'm hoping to launch in the next 60 days, there's a lot of people out there that never had any type of forced accountability. I didn't have the choice of waking up and working out for an hour and a half. That was going to fucking happen every single day, period. I didn't have the choice to say oh, you know what? I'm getting a little overweight. This is my freshman 15, but I'll be okay. No, if you start to get fat, you get taped and you get kicked out of the unit if you exceed the body fat percentage. That if you fail a tape test, you're fucking gone. And it's interesting because I know dudes that could crush 300 PFTs that failed body fat taping and still got kicked out of the unit. And it's a strange thing, but there's different standards. The standards are not just how hard can you PT. The standards are how hard can you PT and what's your fucking physical appearance? What do you look like? Do you look professional? Are you holding yourself to a high standard? It goes along with the uniform standards and shining your boots and pressing your fucking starches and spits and shaving your beret in the shower. And so you can get those crisp fucking corners and stuff. Part of the military experience is learning how to look sharp. And, you know, a lot of people will talk shit on that. Oh, that's garrison shit. And to tell you the truth, when I was an NCO, I wasn't a stickler on all that. I really wasn't. But I can understand the importance because it's very easy for people to fucking start sliding down the path to looking like a bag of fucking donuts. Look at our society. Look at our society. It's something like 70-something% of adult Americans are obese or overweight now. So maybe a fucking some uniform standards and some appearance standards would be good for them. And I'm going to incorporate all of this into Forge Ferocity. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what to fucking wear. You can wear whatever the fuck you want. That's not my job. But it will be my job to be your accountability partner. And not only me, but the community we're building. I don't want this to be like, oh, I'm your coach and you log in and Greg Anderson tells you everything. What I envision is probably a weekly like Zoom with all of our members where I share my thoughts, I share my expectations with the team, I share what I think we need to do. And then I want to hear from everybody. Where were your wins? Where were your fails? And depending on how big this gets, like obviously, if we have 1,000 people that join this community, I'm not going to be able to fucking interact with 1,000 people. So we need to rely on each other too. And the reason I know it'll fucking work is because I did it right here at Electric Jiu-Jitsu in Lake Stevens, Washington. Sure, I'm the coach, I'm the professor, I'm the founder. I built the facility. But the people that it attracted are people that want to work hard and be better and have a sense of camaraderie with the men and women to their left and their right. And I am now a small portion of the accountability inside of this facility. Your white and your blue belts will hold each other accountable. Hey, you coming to practice tonight? Or, hey, where have you been? You know, like, oh, dude, you guys want to fucking do ice tubs after practice tonight? Yeah, let's go. And I'll have 4 or 5 guys standing over there, like cheering each other on or challenging each other. Or let's do another round of sauna right now. And I'll see some guys, the look in their eyes like, fuck, dude, okay, let's go. Because what they want to say is, I'm fucking smoked right now. I don't want to do another round. But when you have people that are pushing you, it emboldens you to take another step forward and push just a little fucking harder. You know, when I was fighting MMA, my coach used to put me through this workout, and it'll be hard for me to explain it. But basically, it was a series of sprawls and burpees and shots and like all of these different fighting-related movements on a square. And he'd be like, front right corner, sprawl, back right corner, burpee, and like call a corner, call an exercise. And I'd have to move to it and hit the exercise. And a movement was given like literally every fucking minute, right? And the way that I could keep up the pace with that workout and meet each movement as it was called in the corner in which it was called, when my coach was there doing it, screaming at me, I could crush that workout. And then there's a few times I went in and I stood in that square and I'm like, I'm going to do the same workout that Coach Charlie used to put me through on my own. And I could never perform as well without my coach there, ever. And I tried it several times. Now, maybe you're hearing this and you're thinking, that's because you're a weak bitch. Fucking, I can crush alone. And if you can crush alone, fuck yeah, dude, more power to you. I would never diminish somebody's ability to be a fucking savage wild animal alone. But in my experience, and me included, most people perform better when they have men and women to their left and their right that have some type of expectation on their performance. And so even, I kind of got away from CrossFit, I would say, over the last year or two, just because, in my opinion, hard CrossFit and hard jiu-jitsu, when you pair them together and you're over 40, fuck, man, that's the recipes for the wheels to fall off. So I moved away from CrossFit, I would say 2 years ago. But from 2017 to 2021, 2020, I hammered CrossFit almost daily. And my wife and Angie did it with me every single day. And those women pushed me to my fucking limits every single day. And you want to talk about fucking ego? Try working out with two girls that you weigh twice as much as, and they're fucking crushing you. And it happened every single day. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to fucking CrossFit with these girls today, and I'm going to get my ass handed to me. But what I ended up doing is trying as hard as I could every day because I didn't want to look weak to them. And that's important, guys. You don't want to let the people that are closest to you look at you and feel like you're letting weakness dictate your decision, or letting weakness try and convince you to go ring the bell and quit for the day. It's not an option. But when I work out alone in the gym, again, I don't find myself pushing as hard. I would be willing to bet most of you find yourself in that same place. And so let's do it. Let's build a community, and we will create like a robust forum where we can all hop on, share our thoughts, share our wins, share our losses. We'll have an accountability forum. And it's like, dude, show what you did today that was hard, or show what you did today that was scary. Show what you did today that was new. What did you learn today? What do you look like with your shirt off? Like let's start putting people in positions where it might make you feel a little uncomfortable. But if you're embarrassed at what you look like, we got work to do. If you're embarrassed at how much you lift or how fast your mile time is, man, don't be down on yourself with that. For that, just acknowledge, man, we got work to do. And it's going to be real, real hard to put that work in to change the trajectory of your life doing it alone. And so super excited for where this is going to go. I think this has the potential to really impact a lot of people's lives. And that's what it's all about, guys. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. Every time I say that, I always say the caveat, I wish I came up with that. But that's Andy Frisella 101. By making your mind, body, and spirit strong and resilient, it will only change the trajectory of your life for the better. And that's a fact. That's not something that's not, I'm going to open up an online coaching and I'm going to fucking swindle a bunch of people into joining so I can get a $40 a month membership. No, guys, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Now, obviously, anytime you make money, that's cool. And anyone that says it's not, they're probably not making much money. All right. Making money's cool. Opening a business and watching it flourish and become successful, it's cool. That's how we win. It's how I put my kids in the school that they desire to be in. Or that's how I buy my kids the car that they need that's safe and robust. Like whatever it is, remember, making money is part of that. So I will never diminish that and act like there's zero motivation for making money. Why would I want to make money? Oh, rich people are terrible. No, I want to win too. All right. But when you can win financially by providing value to people simultaneously, what that is it's a value exchange. Everybody walks away winning. Like my rates at my Jiu-Jitsu Academy right now for an adult full-time membership is $150 a month. That's not super cheap, but there's also a lot of academies that charge way more than that. And I found that somewhere in the middle is what's reasonable. I'm not undervaluing myself. I'm a good coach. You will get in shape here. You will learn good jiu-jitsu. And what I found is something that doesn't undervalue me, but is still affordable. And these people walk away happy with what the value of $150 gets them every month. It's going to be the same thing on this. I'll look at it, I'll assess it, and we'll come up with something that's reasonable to where people can afford it without much stress, but they take away a lot more from the program than what they pay in. And again, it's going to be dependent on everybody. And so as more of that comes down the pipe and we start moving forward on this, I'm excited to share it with the Endless Endeavor community, because we live in a time where everybody has just accepted that being a fat, weak, failing piece of shit is how you live life as a human. You know, like, tell me how you can have a powerful sex life with a fucking awesome woman if you can't see your dick because your gut pokes out too far. Or going up a flight of stairs when you get winded from a flight of stairs. You think if you get winded from a flight of stairs that you can make love to your woman the way that she deserves it? Fuck no, you can't. You can't. You got to be an athlete to take care of your woman. And that's the truth. And people will want to say this or that, but that's the truth. And so instead of talking about it, let's fucking be about it and let's do it. And, guys, I understand the formula. I didn't write the formula. I didn't make the formula. Jocko didn't write the formula. Tony Robbins didn't write the formula. Some guys have understood the formula better than others. And for those who have done that, they've been able to bring it to a lot of people through different programs that they built once they understood the formula. Andy's another one, 75 Hard. He didn't invent the formula. The formula is hard work, discipline, eating clean foods, moving your body, drinking water. Like, everybody knows those formulas. But if you don't have a program to be accountable to, I'm tired right now. I'm probably going to miss. I don't think I'm going to go on my walk tonight because I'm tired. Well, then you failed the program and the accountability is not working for you. So instead of just being accountable to yourself, you need to be accountable to others. Because on Forge Ferocity, if you don't meet the standards and the expectations, you're going to have to talk about it on the forums. Other people are going to have to hear it. And failing in front of your peers sucks. It really does. And so I'm excited, guys. I'm excited to see where this goes. So you know what? I'm just going to go right into the little military piece that I wanted to tell you about. I have a friend who is an NCO, current active duty NCO as we speak, and I was hanging out with him yesterday. I'm going to keep the story kind of vague because I obviously don't want this to work its way back to him. So I'm not even going to talk about branch of service, MOS, any of that shit, right? But he's an NCO, and he has troops underneath him that he is in charge of. What is one of the most baseline foundational level rules that get implemented as an NCO? Well, you are the first person to make corrections and fix problems at a squad and platoon level. All right. If you have someone that is out of regulation, someone's sideburns are too low, or someone didn't shave, or someone's uniform looks like a bag of shit, you shouldn't have the company commander making an on-the-spot correction. That's not how the military works. You try and handle problems at the lowest level. So your E5s and your E6s, those are the guys in the platoon that should be like, hey, private, I can tell you didn't shave today. Get in the fucking bathroom, go shave, and hurry up and get down to formation. And when I was an NCO, I was never a dick to people about stuff. You know, obviously, if it's egregious and people are just lacking discipline and they're not holding the line, there's a conversation to be had. But just day-to-day life, you see someone that is fucked something up. I was never a dick to them, but at the same time, I'm a fucking Ranger team leader. I got to call you out and I got to make it right. That's my job. So with this, man, I talked to this guy for a long time last night. The current state of the military is shocking to me. It's shocking. The fucking stories that I heard last night are so far outside of the military that I knew that I just had to draw the conclusion that we are going to get overtaken by a foreign adversary. I don't know how else what other conclusions to draw when you hear what he had to say. But as an NCO, he said they had their PT test. They have 2 PT tests a year. And he said some guys pride themselves on saying, yep, I'm a 3 mile a year guy, because each PT test is 1.5 miles. So you joke around and you take pride that you're a 3 mile a year guy because you're a lazy motherfucker and you're in the military. The military isn't founded on laziness. The military's entire reason for existing is to kill our adversaries when necessary. That's why the military exists. Now, don't fill my inbox with, the military is just a tool for blah, blah, blah. Yeah, trust me, I get all that, okay? But in the foundational reasons of why we have a U.S. military, it is to be able to beat our adversaries on the field of battle. That's why it exists. You can't do that if you're a fat piece of shit. You can't do that if you don't have the discipline to wake up and go running every day. Like you're 22 years old. Get up and run every fucking day. That's what you do. You want to have elite cardiovascular shape. You want to be strong. You want to be fast. You want to be mobile. You want to be able to carry equipment. You want to be able to extract people. You want to be able to do all that shit. And if you can't do it, it's because you're lazy and you're not putting in the work that you need to be putting in if you are a member of the armed services. And so he said, you know what happened? Everybody just took their PT card and wrote in what they thought they would get. I think I'm about here right now. He said, half the fucking battalion didn't even do their PT test. They just wrote the numbers in. And then a bunch of NCOs, knowing that the numbers were just written in, signed off on them and said, that looks about right. We're happy with that. So then he had there was a battalion meeting with the NCOs, and there was a full bird colonel giving this fucking speech about, readiness and this and that. And my buddy raised his hand. He goes, sir, it's been brought to our attention that half of our PT cards were fudged. Like, what are we going to do about that? Well, just hold on a second, and immediately started getting the runaround from a full bird colonel when people were faking PT test scores. Bro, if I fucking took a PT test card when I was in Ranger Regiment and was just like, you know what? I think I'd run probably a 1250 and I'm going to write 82 push-ups and 85 sit-ups and turn that in, and I didn't do it. Not only would I get kicked out of the unit, I'm pretty sure I would get UCMJ'd. Like that's fucking forging military documents. That's lying. It's an integrity violation. It's all kinds of stuff. I promise you I would have got kicked out of Ranger Regiment for that. And now, 20 years later, you have a full bird colonel. And what he told my friend is, and this is in front of a room full of people. It was like an open Q&A. And he's like, I'm the only one that asks some hard questions. And he said, well, listen, we got to take into consideration that we are in a hiring crisis, that we are very understaffed. We're not meeting our recruiting numbers, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so because the political climate and the political landscape and all the woke bullshit in the military is making the strongest of our young men and women kind of be reluctant to joining. You're not having savages join anymore. So we're just going to let the fat pieces of shit be fat pieces of shit. Good plan on fucking combat readiness, sir. Like, what are we talking about? And he goes, there's a lot of things that we're taking into consideration right now. And individual personal readiness is not our primary focus right now. What we think is the most important aspect of readiness is equipment readiness. And so instead of putting a lot of focus on personnel readiness, we're going to kind of put that on the back burner and put our focus on where we think is the most important right now, and that's equipment readiness. So, okay, cool. Your fucking planes work and your boats work. Congratulations. Do your fucking bodies work? That's a scary thing, because I'm here to tell you guys, I don't care what your technological advantage is over the enemy. I've gotten in, I won't even call them arguments because I don't interact with idiots online. I just read stupid comments and go by them. But I've had people tell me that when they hear this message that I preach, that fitness is the foundational element of being ready as a soldier, as a father, as a protector, as anything. And I've had people say, like, we don't fight with swords anymore. You don't have to be an elite athlete to be a viable warfighter. Yes, you do. You should be a professional level fucking athlete if you want to go and step foot on the field of battle. It's hot. It's fucking dry. You're wearing all this fucking kit. You may run out of water and feel parched and feel fucking dehydrated. Like, and not only the actual physical aspects of combat, but the psychological aspects of combat. The anxiety of fucking going in on a bird when you were just told, like, hey, they have anti-aircraft over our objective. Just beware. Oh, a bird just got shot down over our objective, and now we're going in. Because I've been on birds like that before. And I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of emotions around that. Fuck, man, I'm about to get shot out of the sky tonight, and I'm 21 years old. The fitter your physical body is, the more efficiently you can buffer all the stress hormones and the cortisol and helps you deal with those emotions. The fatter and weaker and slower you are, the more all the psychological aspects of the battlefield affect your physical body. I don't know if there's any fucking literature on that. I'm here to tell you from experience, that is a fucking fact. And you ask any guy that spent time overseas, understand your physical preparedness helps you psychologically navigate the battlefield, period. And now you got full bird colonels that don't understand that concept. And it's not that they don't understand. It's that they don't give a shit. And the reason they don't give a shit is because their higher up said, well, you know what? Colonel so-and-so, you have this staffing issue to resolve, and we need this many people, and blah, blah, blah. The priorities become filling all of these administrative tasks, making sure this billet's filled, and we have this many people allocated for this and that, and this much funding goes to this. And it's like, again, the foundation of your warfighters needs to be their physical body. And you know what? They're going to fucking thank you for it. If you're an NCO, you need to be waking up and taking your fucking men out running every morning. And that's what I did as an E5, and I didn't have a fucking choice. Like, that's what you do as a team leader or a squad leader. You wake up and you fucking thrash your men. And guess what? In order to thrash your men, you got to be a fucking savage yourself. And that's how it works. The next thing he said to me that was shocking, he's like, bro, you can't even make on-spot corrections anymore on certain classes of people. He goes, black females in particular. Craig, you can't say that on your show. That's racist. No, I'm regurgitating what my buddy who is active duty is telling me he deals with on a daily basis as an NCO. He says, as an NCO, again, to go back to what I said a minute ago, one of our primary duties is on-spot corrections. If I see someone not holding themselves to the standards that are set, and it doesn't matter if it's fucking uniform or if it's, your hair or shaving or your shoes or your boots, like, there is a set of standards. They're all fucking mapped out in the fucking whatever branch of service field manual is fucking uniform standards. And he said, every time I try and make a correction on a black female, every time I make a correction on a black female, it's instantly, you can't say shit about my hair. That's racist. This is how black people hair is. That's racist. And it's like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Like, I don't give a fuck if you're a black female. You're a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and I'm an NCO, and I have noticed a deficiency in your fucking uniform or your appearance, and it's my job as an NCO to correct it. I'm here to tell you guys right now, when I was a fucking private, If I had a sergeant or a staff sergeant, I had a fucking specialist or a corporal, anyone that outranks me, if they came up to me and said, hey, Anderson, your hair is out of regs, get upstairs and fix it. The only response that would have come out of my 19-year-old mouth was, Roger that, Sergeant, and went and immediately taken care of the problem at hand. It's necessary. Combat readiness, obviously, we've already discussed this. The physical aspects of combat readiness are imperative, but the discipline is also necessary. The command structure. If an NCO can't make a fucking uniform correction on someone, you think you're combat effective as a unit? You think the stress of garrison when your hair is being worn wrong is going to be greater than the stress of people being fucking killed in war? And here's where it gets worse. They go complain against him, and he has to answer to the man all the time. Hey, Sergeant so-and-so, it's been brought to our attention that like people feel like you've been targeting them again, and we're going to need you to go kind of hands off. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, fuck, man. When I got done talking to him last night after practice, I was like, dude, we're fucked. Like, if our own military, if you can't fucking make an on-the-spot correction on a fucking private without them screaming racism, because guys, let's talk about the racism shit. It's a bunch of woke, fake bullshit, and everybody knows it. Are there elements of society or groups of people that are racist pieces of shit? Yeah, of course there is. I'm sure there is. I don't know any. They aren't in the fucking military. They aren't on the jiu-jitsu mats. I didn't see them in the profession of law enforcement. But because our media and our president and all of our, everywhere you fucking look, it's racist, 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 racist. Now you got our young people in the military brainwashed as fuck, thanks to you, fucking CNN, and thanks to you, the current administration. And now they feel empowered to be able to call or to pull their race card and fucking complain against their NCOs, and the military is supporting them. So guys, you're fucked. You're fucked. That's what happens to our military when you don't allow any fucking standards or discipline. We are going to be fucked. And so, where's this go? Well, fuck. We've been saying it for 3 years on the show. Who knows, right? But it's not looking good. And again, this isn't me being doomsday. Like, you got some podcast or some commentators online that it's like every time you see anything they have to say, it's like doomsday's happening tomorrow. Like, I'm not that person. I don't think that everything we do and think about has to be the negative side of society or shining a spotlight on everything bad. But you have to take a look at it. And that's why I always say, stay informed, but not consumed. Don't allow this stuff to absolutely dictate your life to where you're just a miserable fuck. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go teach class and I'm going to work out and I'm going to hit my ice. Like, I'm going to do all the things that I do. But we have to understand that there's something going on here that's bigger than any of us. And that is the systematic dismantling of our entire military, our entire government, our entire judicial system. Like, everything is becoming diminished while a group of elite cocksuckers just gets to take it all over. And guys, I mean, I don't know if you saw all that Chinese shit last week with Xi Jinping coming into fucking San Francisco. They cleaned up San Francisco for a communist dictator. They wouldn't clean it up for the citizens of San Francisco. Fuck you if you live in San Francisco. You get to walk around in human feces and needles. But when a communist dictator wants to meet Gavin Newsom, yeah, we're going to clean the streets and make it look beautiful. And then that motherfucker said, oh, some people are saying that I clean the streets up and that we clean the city up because a foreign dignitary was visiting. And guess what? You're right. I did. That's right. That's the truth. Like just throwing it in your face and saying, fuck you. What are you going to do about it? And then we had U.S. Marines flying, holding the Chinese flag. Like, try and wrap your fucking head around that. Remember one thing. The entire reason that we went to war in Vietnam and Korea, you remember those? You remember why we went to war? Or why we were told we went to war? It's the containment policy. We can't allow communism. We have to contain communism because communism is bad. And communism goes against the American values. And it's not what we stand for. And now you have our president standing with Xi Jinping saying, well, you got to understand that they live in a place where their system of government is just very different than ours. Yeah, we understand that. We understand that their system of government is very different than ours. We also understand that that's not what we stand for as Americans. This entire country was built around freedom and personal choice. That's literally why this country exists. And now you have the leading communist dictator of planet Earth being paraded around the White House. And guys, I get that at the highest level of politics, there's some Game of Thrones shit going on. Like, you probably are going to be better off having relationships with our adversaries, like keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Like, there's a lot of strategy going into this stuff. I'm not above admitting that. President Trump went and met with fucking Kim Jong-un and shook his hand in North Korea. Like, I get that things like this sometimes need to happen, right? But for our own politicians to celebrate it, go out of their way to shake his hand and kiss his ass, have our guys holding his flag, it just felt gross. It felt off. And I think if you're being honest with yourself, you probably felt that too when you saw that. Like, you want to fly to America and you want to have a meeting about something? Okay, cool. It ain't going to be a big fucking spectacle where I'm kissing your fucking ass. But that's where we're at. And that's why we need Andy Frisella as the president, towing his fucking wood chipper behind his motorcade. I don't know if you guys listen to Real AF, but you need to. It's my favorite fucking podcast after this one, of course. And he was talking about that today because I don't know if you guys saw, but the Argentina had elections, and this was a day or two ago. And a libertarian, Miley, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's kind of a wild dude. He's fucking driving around screaming with a chainsaw, and the fucking country's nuts for him. The country's fucking nuts for him. Because he ran on a platform of individual freedom and fuck libtards. And he's even calling them that, like, publicly. He says whatever he wants. And what we're going to find is, as the pendulum swings in this country further and further and further to the incompetence of the left, bro, the guy that's going to come and fix this is going to make President Trump look left of center himself. The person that's going to come and fix this, what you're doing is the farther you're pulling the pendulum to the left, it's going to swing to the right harder. And this fucking dude in Argentina won by like a 95% landslide. Everybody's sick of the bullshit, and it's worldwide. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But my prediction, Frisella, 2028. Dude, if you don't think he can do it, fucking hide and watch. And he doesn't lose. That's not in his DNA. It's not in his vocabulary. He goes out there and he fucking wins. And he's saying that this is what he thinks he's going to do. And I'll be there every fucking step of the way. And it's crazy to think. I mean, me and Jenny talk about this shit at night. I get high and fucking reflect on my life. And it's like, a personal friend of mine might be the president of the United States. Like, what the fuck are we talking about, right? But hey, that's life, right? Like, who fucking knows what's going to happen? And why couldn't a personal friend of mine become president? The men and women that I keep in my circle are solid people with good moral values and a good moral compass. And they're hard workers and they're trying to be better. Isn't that who the fuck you want? Leading the charge? Trying to take this country's trajectory and put it on the right path? Isn't that what you want? We're so used to seeing these fucking men and women in suits speaking a certain way and accenting their words and very careful to never offend anyone. They never say fuck. Like, they're not real people. It's all a fucking shell game. It's all fake. It's all a sham. Let's get some real motherfuckers in there. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to dig up a bunch of Andy Frisella's podcasts where he said the word faggot and he said the word cocksucker. Yeah, he did. And you know what he's going to say when you confront him with that? Is, yeah, you're probably one of those cocksuckers. Just throw it right back in their fucking face. No intimidation to the fucking powers in the media or the powers of these fucking political elites. Strip that from them. Fuck you. Go do your investigation. Have 50 girls suddenly come forward and say, Andy Frisella sexually assaulted me, even though it's never fucking happened in the history of his life. Like, we know all that bullshit's going to happen. And go ahead and do it. And fuck you. We'll still win. There's enough motherfuckers out there that have had enough. And this is the reality of it. There is no other way out of this other than by the ballot or by the bullet. That's it. That's it. We either elect the right people to fucking try and change the trajectory of this country, and maybe we can have success with that path if the right people are there. But if we don't, and these cocksuckers just keep doing what they're doing, eventually we're going to be morally obligated to drag them out in the fucking streets. How much of your money can be stolen from you before you say, you know what? Fuck you. How much of your money? Because right now you're paying well over 50%. Like, fucking think about that. January, February, March, April, May, June. You work from fucking January 1st to June for nothing. You wake up every day, you sit in your car, you commute, you fucking like are on the fucking grind, draining your fucking mind, body, and spirit because you got to do what you got to do to feed your family and pay your mortgage and do all the shit that you have to do so your life can kind of feel like it's operating and functioning correctly. And you do that every day for the first 6 months of the year so Uncle Sam can send all your fucking money to Ukraine. Think about that. Well, Greg, I'm only on the 33% tax bracket. Yeah, I get it, okay? I'm not just talking income tax. Every fucking thing you do, every corner you turn, every car you sell, every business you start, every fucking thing you do, every boat you buy. Like, I've talked about on the show plenty. To drive my boat on the motherfucking ocean, I have to pay $800 a year to the government. The government somehow owns the ocean now. Like, try and wrap your head around that. To go hiking in the North Cascades, which is my backyard, I can see it from my podcast studio. I can see Mount Pilchuck and Three Fingers out the window where I sit right now. If I want to go climb those, you're going to need a forest pass, and it's this much money. Fuck you. Now the government owns the mountains. Like, every single thing that we do, they nickel and dime you, nickel and dime you, nickel and dime you. And to me, that's not super indicative of what you would call a free country. And so something's going to have to change. Something's going to have to change. And it's going to be by the ballot or by the bullet. Our adversaries should just let the fucking ballot do its thing, but they won't. They're not going to let an election process take place that pushes out all these cocksuckers. They're just not going to do it. And so we'll see what happens. The last thing I want to talk about, I just want to touch on, I just got back from Mexico, went down to Cancun for a week and stayed in an all-inclusive. I'm a little torn on all-inclusives, if I'm being honest with you. I think all-inclusives kind of pander to the fat, drunk, lazy American. And it's kind of weird for me because it's like, dude, I love traveling. I love the beach. I love the ocean. I love tropical climates. And I love sitting in the pool having fucking margaritas too. Don't get me wrong. But when that's all you're doing day in and day out, it starts to feel like, oh, I'm not really in a foreign country enjoying myself. I'm just in this Americanized resort getting drunk all week. And so last year, we go annually. Last year I went, and it was just a lot of drinking and a lot of sitting on the beach. And on one hand, it's kind of enjoyable, but it gets old for me fast. So this year I said, I want to go do shit. All right. I get that we can fucking drink on the beach and it's all covered. Cool. But I want to go do shit. And so we ended up driving down to Tulum, which is a city of Mayan ruins, and went and walked around all these Mayan ruins, which are fucking radical. I caught an iguana. If you want to see that, go to my Instagram. I've always been into reptiles. When I was a little boy, my room was full of monitor lizards and iguanas and fucking everything. And I tried to get this big ass iguana, and the first 3 attempts it got away. And my wife's like, she goes, I thought you were good at this kind of stuff. Like, I thought you were the reptile guy. And I was like, oh, that's it. Fucking stand the fuck by. And so I like dove on it next time, cut my knees up, but I got that fucker. And that's what's important. I got him and we took a picture. And they're called spiny-tailed, I think they're called black spiny-tailed iguanas. And they're everywhere in Mexico. It's pretty cool. And then after that, we went into some cenotes. So cenotes, and I guess this is kind of all over Mexico, or maybe just Eastern Mexico, but they're very common. There's a lot of underground rivers. And what these underground rivers do is they create like sinkholes in different areas and cave openings, and you can go swimming in these underground caves. And some of them have openings that like go straight up into the jungle, and then others like you walk down into, like you're going into a cave. But we went and saw a couple of those and went swimming. Super fucking rad. And I'm like, yes, this is what I like to do. I like to see the landscape, see the things, like see the culture. We went and stopped by this like little Mayan village. And it was very interesting because what I learned is the Mayans in Mexico are the equivalent of the Native Americans in America. Like their culture was there first, and it's been really, really kind of like, and I don't know all the history on it. So if you're intimately familiar with this, don't start swearing at your radio. But it just seems like it kind of mirrored what happened to the Native Americans. They got pushed out, they got put on reservations. And so we went on one of these reservations and like bought fucking obsidian carvings and shit from them. Just cool trip. And then the next day we went fishing for barracuda, and it was hot. I guess actually you want to get grouper because you can, or snapper and grouper, because those are edible. Barracuda are a non-edible fish unless they said some locals can eat them, but if Westerners eat them, you get really fucking sick because of some parasite they hold. But regardless, we caught fucking fish after fish after fish, and it was just fun. We drove so far offshore that you couldn't see land in any direction and just fucking slayed them. And so, cool vacation overall. But I want to say one thing. I am seeing incompetence in human beings following me everywhere that I go. It doesn't matter if you're an American or you're Mexican or fucking Canadian. I haven't traveled far abroad since COVID, so I haven't been throughout Europe or Africa or any of the places, the Middle East, any of the places I spent a lot of time as a younger man. But what I see is constant increase of incompetence from everybody. And the hotel, the resort staff, man, it's like I'm talking to fucking retarded people. Now, I get that there's a language barrier, okay? I'm not talking about me and them not being able to communicate because of a language barrier. But I'm talking about like the decisions and the actions and stuff that they make. Like randomly, 2 days into the trip, they're like, notify us. All right, you need to check out today. Like, well, we checked in for 9 days. So what are you talking about? Oh, well, we just need you to switch rooms because the room you're in, we actually booked it for somebody else. And I'm like, well, put somebody else in a new room. Pretty simple concept, right? Oh, we can't do that. It's your room is the one that got booked. So you're the one that has to move. So you guys listen to the show, you know me. By this point, I'm fucking like, my blood pressure is going up and I'm ready to have a fucking aneurysm. And I'm just like, guys, whoever's coming in, put them in the fucking room. Nope, can't do that. So you got to check out and then check into your new room. Okay, what room is it? Give me the key and I'm just going to go fucking do it. Because I'm not going to spend all day arguing about some bullshit. Well, the checkout is at noon of your last room and check-ins aren't until 4 p.m. So from noon to 4, you won't have a room. It's like, what the fuck? We won't have a room? Like, what are you talking about? And we went round and round and round and round. And guess what we did? We moved downstairs one floor into a room that was identical to the room we're in one floor above. My brain can't handle that kind of shit. All right. Like, it's just the lack of, and I could tell, like, they had a script, they had rules, and no one can think for themselves. And I've seen that in America for fucking years now. But seeing these fucking young Mexican kids, they're probably in their early 20s, like, oh, well, sir, there's nothing. And they spoke good English. So again, it wasn't a language barrier. Sir, there's just nothing we can do. It shows that your room is booked to a new person and we have to move you. Fuck, man. And I remember thinking, dude, I'm on vacation and I want to fucking kill somebody. Like, that's the opposite of the energy I should be feeling. But it's because I went to some mega fucking resort with a bunch of drunk fat Americans. That's what they're used to dealing with. I think I might go back to backpacking and staying in hostels like I did when I was a fucking kid. I think that's probably going to give me a more authentic experience when I'm visiting foreign countries. The last thing I'll say is my biggest regret of the trip is, man, Jenny and Ange were walking up the beach in bikinis looking good. And I noticed a guy holding his cell phone and started to turn kind of discreetly towards them. And big fat gut, mustached, balding, fuckface piece of shit. And was orienting his body towards them, but holding his phone like close to his chest. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker, I see exactly what's going on here. This motherfucker's videotaping the girls. Like, and this dude's probably 45 years old. Big, fat, doughy faggot. Like, dude, who videotapes a couple 40-year-old women in bikinis? And they look good. I mean, they're good-looking 40-year-old women. But what the fuck are you doing? And so they start walking up the beach, going into the resorts. And you know how, like, right off of the beach, they have the showers to get all the sand off you? So the girls are in the shower, and he starts following them. And I walk up behind him, and I can peek over his shoulder. And the girls' asses, he like zoomed in, the girls' asses completely filled his screen. I could see his like zoomed in on their asses while they were showering. And it was recording. And I shoved him. I said, hey, motherfucker, what do you think you're doing? And that's it. That's all I did. And I'm kind of down on myself for that because I should have taken the phone out of his hand and just fucking smashed it into a million pieces. But I also don't feel like spending any time in a Mexican prison. I spent some time in a Jordanian prison one time, and foreign countries' prisons are not something that I want to be a part of. Don't ask about the Jordanian prison story because I'm not telling it on the air. But dude, what the like? If you are filming a girl's ass in public and following them around, it should be the death penalty. I should be able to take a brick and just smash your fucking skull in. But at a minimum, instead of just shoving him and confronting him and making him feel small, God, I wish I'd just taken that phone and like just slung it out into the ocean or more dramatic, smashed it into a bunch of pieces on the ground. But again, it goes back to the reason, why do I tell this story on the Endless Endeavor? Because of this. We are in a society with zero accountability. All right. Accountability on one hand, like we talked earlier with Forged Ferocity, can be a great tool to inspire, to motivate, to build strength, to make you a better person. But on the other side of that coin, accountability can be a great tool for the lower performers in our society to mind their fucking P's and Q's. Because if you fucking take a picture or a video of a dude's chick while she's showering, you should have all your teeth knocked down your fucking throat. That's what you should have. That is an accountability measure. You do something egregious to a guy's girl, I'm going to fucking crush your face. That's reasonable. That's not unreasonable. That's reasonable. What's unreasonable is my wife being videoed by some fat, gross slob. That's what's unreasonable. But the world's so out of alignment that that's no longer what's deemed unreasonable in that scenario. What's deemed unreasonable is when her husband shoves the dude and says, get the fuck away from them. You understand me? Now I'm the crazy one. And of course, you had fucking 4 security guards there in 2 seconds. And maybe Mexico's a little different because they didn't give a fuck. They were on my side. And I said, that motherfucker knows exactly what he's doing. Look at his fucking phone if you doubt me. And they were immediately on my side. And I thought that was cool. Because if you shove someone in America, it's like, oh my God, that was assault 4. You're getting arrested. And so the crazy tales of my life, I love sharing over the podcast. Fucking just the crazy shit that happens everywhere I go is fucking endless, dude. And isn't that life though? And I bet any fucking one of you guys listening could sit down in the studio and push record for an hour and tell a tale of all the bullshit that you fucking dealt with for the last fucking month as well. Because that's the world now. That's the world that we live in now. We have allowed way, way, way too many people to just become fat, slobby, degenerate fucks that we have to tiptoe around while they fucking break into my boat and film my fucking girl's ass and all that shit. And I'm about fucking done with it. And so just know when that day comes, all of those fucking people, you're going to get it, dude. And I can't fucking wait. Other than that, guys, that's about all we got. Not too crazy. Didn't go into full crazy Anderson today. Feeling it a little bit, but just having fun. And yeah, as more details come out about the program, the accountability program, the accountability network that we're going to build, I would love for you guys to be a part of that. I'm super excited. And just like we do on the mats, we're going to do it on this. We're going to do it online. We're going to change lives. We're going to make you stronger. And we're going to build a community of people that hold each other accountable. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.